that'd be really quick, because I really don't know anything about it, to be honest. What the hell is that?
Our plan is a show that people don't really know much about.
That was a good one to make.
Basically, one night we were at his mom's house, and he taught me how to make these macaroons that he made up the recipe for, and it was really fun. They were easy to make, and we all of a sudden started coming up with fun ideas of different flavors we could do, and this would be so cute in a package. And literally the next day he called me and said, "Do you want to go into business together?" And I said yes. And we started making everything in his mom's kitchen. We got it certified, and we sold locally and at the farmer's market, and then we started selling to some stores in New York City, and then we got too big for her house, so we moved into a basement space, and then we took on national distribution and got too big for that space, and now we're here. We were just starting to get big. I mean, we started forming our macaroons by hand. We had ice cream scoops, and we'd wear a glove, and you'd grab some of the batter, put it in the scoop, and if you can imagine a really large order coming in and having to do all of that by hand, not only was it taking a very long time, but it was like Ian got carpal tunnels from doing it, because he would try to go even faster and faster, and I was never as fast as him. But so it was just not a very sustainable way to grow our business, was by doing that by hand. So that's when we went to alternatives, because we had found a machine that was going to be able to form our macaroons for us.
They did come in for a small loan to go from we're just barely going, we've just barely gotten started, we've kind of bootstrapped this, to hey, we're making a real business out of it. And that's one of those things that happens quite a lot. People do bootstrap their initial startup, and then they realize, I'm kind of hamstrung, I can't really grow this to the extent that I'd like, or to turn it into a real business, whatever real means to them, and I'm going to need financing, and I'm going to need education, whatever it might be.
Well, technically a microloan is a business loan under the amount of $50,000. However, that's the SBA definition, under $50,000. But for alternatives, we do really small loans. Sometimes $500 is the smallest business loan that we do. And so those are really, really small microloans. We really are committed to helping small businesses in this county and contiguous counties. That's where our lending area is. So we're happy to work with small businesses who need smaller dollar amount loans that larger financial institutions are not interested in processing, because the processing of a microloan can be much more intensive and the amount of time it takes can be much more intensive than even a large business loan.
So we started working, we initially started, and again, this business is a bit by accident, so it's been cobbled together the last several years for sure. We originally had a relationship, and we still do, with another regional bank who are wonderful and have their own strengths and things like that. But when it came time for our small and unusual business to really start kind of growing and have some capital demands on it, we did approach our current bank, and they had a hard time looking at a small business like ours that they weren't really familiar with. They really wanted larger businesses to work with, and that was actually just to get a loan for a delivery van. So that was our entree into working with alternatives, and we approached them about a delivery van for our business, and they were very open and very used to working with small growing businesses like ours, I think. So we got to a point where we had an opportunity to grow from being a farm that sold basically at the farmer's market, and our community kept on asking us to have greater distribution, greater access to our meat products, and being able to buy besides just a few hours on Saturday morning. And we had an opportunity to actually lease the building that we're in right now. And the first step of that was a very, very small space. And we went to alternatives, and we talked to them about buying the existing business that was here and being able to integrate what we do as a small farm into this space and utilize it.
We have 41 microloans outstanding for $567,000. So when you consider that some of those loans are $500, and I don't believe we have any $50,000 microloans. So we've really been doing microloans since 1980 or 1981. It's been a really important part of our mission of commitment to this community.
One of the reasons why I think this is a great place to start a small business is because of alternatives and because of all the local resources there are. As far as a loan, there was no question we wanted to use alternatives, mostly because we had some really supportive connections there, and we knew about all of the assistance that they had. So, I mean, it's because of that, what they do offer that other banks don't, and that's why we went there.
Business Sense started in 1995. It was originally run by the city of Ithaca. The city received a community development block grant from the federal government, and with that they developed a training program to help low-income city of Ithaca residents plan and start up small enterprises. The program also included some individual consultation, direct, one-on-one assistance for those folks, and it grew, and eventually the city asked Alternatives, who they felt was more situated to run an ongoing community development program of this nature, to take over the program, which we did in 1998.
We also don't make the profits that large banks make, and certainly we don't have the excess money and all of that, but we feel very good about the work we do and the impact in the community. It's good work.
BR MicroCapital is an organization that was started, the operation started in 2009 by some former MBAs, and they had wanted to figure out a way to help the local economy thrive, and so they had they were trying to look at different models of microfinance and different models to help entrepreneurs, and they came up with this model to provide two services: coaching services, which is one of the, pretty much the primary function of our business, and that's tapping into the resources and the knowledge of the MBA students to help entrepreneurs progress their business and grow their business. And then the other service is the loan piece. So we provide loan financing to entrepreneurs that want to grow, and so that's been a smaller focus of our business, because it seems that there's a much higher demand for the coaching services in the last few years.
My name is Alex Colquitt, and I'm a social entrepreneur building a website called Swidget. Basically try to replace Craigslist with this new tool that allows us to, a social tool that really allows us to take advantage of all these web abilities, and then if it works out here in Ithaca, to spread it regionally and hopefully beyond that as well. Because of the way I'm structuring the company, and then I'm going to be looking for additional capital and growing it a lot without having an immediate revenue stream, it's not something that's very attractive from a bank's perspective. Every time it's a different conversation, sort of what's on my mind at the time, whether it's trying to put together a business plan or figure out funding or talking about marketing or whatever it is. And the cool thing is recently, like as we've come along in the process, he's been bringing in additional people and be like, oh, well, you really want to know about marketing? I know somebody that would be able to help you with that, and then he'd bring them along to lunch. I think just having access to somebody who is taking the time to learn about the idea and learn about what I'm trying to do and meeting with me regularly and providing advice has been really valuable, and I think that's a great service.
When I hear stories like Emmy's or the Piggery or Satori or the North Star Pub, or some of the other businesses that we've worked with over the years that have launched and become big fixtures in the community, and I hear people in the community talking about, I love that place, I'm so glad to see them surviving and thriving and growing, I go there all the time. or whatever other enthusiasm, that really makes me see not only the value of what we do, but also how it's affecting the community, and that's why we do it.
There has been a lot of groundwork laid by our community the last, as far as I can tell, 20, 30, maybe probably longer, that we place an importance in our community in buying from our neighbors and buying from each other. And I really think that's helped us weather some of these economic storms. I definitely credit alternatives with bringing a lot of jobs. We have one of the lowest unemployment rates in New York State. And I think alternatives probably has something to do with that, because I'm a small business and I have like 22 employees. So if they, hadn't lent to me, I wouldn't have been able to offer those jobs. And I know all my friends who own small businesses, weirdo businesses like ours, all go to alternatives and they all hire people for weekend help or this and that. And yeah, I really think if alternatives wasn't here, we'd have a much less diverse business community, a much less vibrant, and less jobs.
We didn't even plan on, we really have just taken our time and we were growing this business from the ground up and using our community as a resource. 100% of our business is because we are here. I really am fully aware of that.